Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads of Dream Rangers Monday Night Live. Myself and Kenny it is this evening. Amrit was due to be on, but much like the Rangers defence this season, he is missing in action at the moment. Hopefully he will turn up, though, a bit like Rangers did yesterday. Kenny, how are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate, apart from this silly laptop of mine. So if I cut out, mate, you're on your own. I've had technical issues, so we'll see how this goes. Should be a fun night, mate.
Yeah, it should be. Amrit is not trapped. Kenny, laptop playing up. You might just be left with one shiny bald head instead of three. Let's see how this goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, a great result for Rangers yesterday. We're going to come to that, Kenny, but start with the Union Bears display. Once again, they got it fairly spot on, as they always tend to do.
Yeah, and fair play to Dundee for kind of wilting on it and deciding to let them do it, because they've got that policy that they don't allow away support to do tifos or displays. So common sense, I beg your pardon, prevailed, and it was a cracker, wasn't it? Really impressive as ever. Maybe not quite as impressive as the one on Thursday night, which is up there with the best I think I've ever seen, certainly in Britain. Absolutely outstanding on Thursday. And you know yourself where we were on Thursday night. You could only see so much of it, so I had to get home and see it properly. And it was a sight to behold. But fair play, as I say, more importantly for me, well done to the Union Bears, but well done to Dundee for kind of having the common sense to say, well, look, they've spent a lot of money on that, so let them go ahead and put it up. Fair play.
Yeah, and what was your overall thoughts of the game? Obviously, myself and Rob did a post-match yesterday. These things are always much more enjoyable when we get a result. Kenny, first league game I've missed this season, and Rangers probably put in their best one so far. I'm not taking it personally, but maybe it might just be me. But what was your overall thoughts on the game?
You're a baldy jinx, mate. That's all it is. I thought we were really good. I was out and about yesterday, so I seen the first half in the place where I was having my kind of late lunch, and caught up with the second half, slightly delayed when I got home. And I thought the first half they were excellent, mate, as I think most folk do. I thought they played really, really well. Some lovely patterns of play, quick movement, quick, movement of the ball and stuff like that. I thought we were really decent, and it was about as I'm not going to say easy, but as mundane a 3-0 victory as you can get, if you like, and I'll have them all season long if you don't mind. That was a very good performance. The second half, I thought we kind of huffed and puffed a little bit, mate, but we're still by far the better side, I thought. So delighted with the 3 points, delighted with the 3 goals, because going away from home in this league and scoring 3 goals is no mean feat anyway, to be honest. But to do it in such a fashion, and some lovely goals as well. So I was delighted yesterday, I've got to say.
Yeah, Ken, it wasn't that long ago where Rangers were conceded 20 shots on goal and conceded 3, 4, 5 clear opportunities in these games as well. And we just have seemed to have flipped that, which is the most convincing thing. We have 2-0 up really quickly within the first 15 minutes. First time we've been 2 up since Celtic back in March. I think that was the away game, if I remember. Yes, it was only yesterday, Stevie, and I'm still forgetting. But to be in that position, take that every day of the week. 2 good goals. Raskin again, great in the air for such a wee guy. Lovely finish by Mikey Moore, who's finding his feet again as well. And absolutely spot on. Could have got a third. A wee bit of controversy with that, but overall, it was a good performance. And like you said, to go anywhere, it's the actual improvement for me. We went from being a team that's really struggled, and Danny Röhl's only been in for a few weeks, and he's managed to get a wee bit of confidence, and we went from conceding 20 odd shots to now going to Hibs and Dundee and winning, and we take those results for granted. But the magnitude of the job Danny Röhl had in front of him, I'm really pleased with that yesterday.
The first thing he's trying to do, mate, as we all know, is sort out that back line. That was as comfortable as I've seen the defence yesterday, as I have in quite a while, even not just this season, towards the end of last season as well. So it's one of those that I look at and I think, you know, as you say, we kind of, being Rangers fans, we've kind of taken results for granted an awful lot. And when you don't get them, it's a little bit of a crisis, obviously. But for me, the first goal, as you say, with Nico Raskin's a crack. It's just it's typical of Raskin. He's up, so you know the height he's up is unreal. Perfectly timed header, right in the corner, miles away from the keeper. Mikey Moore's shot's a wee bit unorthodox, isn't it? He takes it with his right foot instead of his left, when it looks as if it should be a natural left foot strike, but he hits it with his right and hits it really early and into the bottom corner. There's an awful lot of debate about the third goal. For me, I can see why they've chopped it off, I've got to say, but at the same time, I'm finding it difficult to understand how you can impede the line of vision when the guy gets down and sees it perfectly and saves the shot really quite well. So I didn't think it was a penalty. I know I've seen that kind of be discussed with the John Souttar strike. I think the boy's hands are down at his side. I don't think there's anything you can do about that. But yeah, it's a controversial one. Not as quite as controversial as the one at Liverpool, at Manchester City yesterday. If you've seen that one, that should certainly stand. But ours is very. It's not similar, but it's quite close to being similar. And for me, it's one of them that I kind of get why they've chopped it off, but at the same time, I thought we were in easy street in the first half. I thought we played really, really well. And evening, Amrit, nice of you to join us, mate.
Hi guys, apologies.
You're on mute, Stevie.
See, Amrit's totally flung me now. I was trying to message him. He was messaging me saying he was backstage and he couldn't get in while you weren't, and it flung me. So now he's upside down and all sorts. My goodness, what is going on? Amrit, this is supposed to be a professional outfit here. You're letting us down.
I apologise sincerely, Stevie, to both of you and to our members and our viewers. I'm sorry. Little technical difficulty on my part. I take full ownership and responsibility. Apologies.
Never mind that, mate. You were there yesterday. What was your thoughts on the first half performance in particular?
I mean, for me, I think before we start, he's got us playing electric, hasn't he? Let's be honest. That song, Stevie, I'm sorry. I've taken pelters on the group for this, but it got the place rocking. He's got us playing electric. Whether you agree with it or not.
Don't do it.
Whether you agree with it or not, it was a great afternoon. What is going on with my camera? Sorry. Whether you agree with it or not, Stevie, it was a wonderful afternoon. We played some really nice stuff in the first half. It was positive. It was direct. There was nice, intricate passing in the middle of the park. We were trying things. It wasn't keeping the ball for the ball's sake. It was just, especially after the week we've had, Stevie. That's the thing which is really important to me. We lost against Celtic. We lost against Roma. Then we had to go up to Dundee. And the guys put on a show. So absolute respect to them. They plugged away. They got the early goal. We got a goal chopped off as well. So all really, really positive. And I know that when players aren't playing well, I always say that, this guy's not doing well, that guy's not doing well. But when they play well, they deserve our congratulations. And I'm really proud of the way they performed yesterday. Yes, we know the second half was a little bit flat. I get that. But I think that's probably in part down to some of the personnel changes, which I don't really understand. But I'm certainly not going to question Danny Röhl when he's just won 3 in a row in the league. We've scored 7 goals, conceded 1, I think, 2 clean sheets in a row. So there's lots of positivity, lots of forward momentum. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's me. Finished, Stevie. Let me sort this out.
It's going well tonight, isn't it? Who says that we don't go live? That's for sure. Kenny, second half there was a bit of disruption, but the way I look at it is that Rangers were in easy street. They were in control of the game, and that only becomes a problem when I suppose if you go to 3, if you concede it 2-0 and Dundee get back in it, then it becomes a problem. But I always felt like Rangers were in complete control. I always felt like they were doing as they should. I always felt like they were comfortable enough. And I was happy with it. I know there was a dip, but when I analysed the game and looked back on it, Rangers actually had the chances again at the start of the second. Asgard has a shot, which is well saved. And they kind of move it about quite well. Dundee make a couple of changes. They bring on Danda and then the boy up front who terrorises us all the time. And Simon Murray, yeah. I keep getting mixed up. I was going to say Stewart, but of course it's Simon Murray. And they had a couple of efforts, but it was not like they were slicing us apart or that. I think the issue is they were getting maybe too much space down the left and right. We weren't stopping crosses. None of them were good enough. But Rangers were largely in control, I felt. And I know that the subs took a wee bit out of the performance, but the reason for that is we had such a big week, consider extra time for Celtic and then Roma during the week. I understand why he made changes. Did I agree with them? I don't think both strikers should have come off. I think that disrupted us a wee bit. But overall, I understand Danny Röhl's thinking behind it.
Yeah, I understand his thinking, but 2-0's always that result, isn't it? That the next goal is so key, because if we score it, it's 3-0, game's done and dusted. If they score it, they have got all to play for to try and get something out of the game. So I can understand why Dundee came into the game. We did cause our own disruption by making 3 changes at half-time. I think the changes up top more than anything else caused us a bit of an issue, because the 2 guys that come on are very different from the 2 boys that come off. And Danilo, I thought, was having a cracking game in the first half. I was really surprised to see him come off, because I thought he was linking the midfield and the attack really, really well. I thought he was one of our better players. So I was surprised, because he's not played huge amounts and there is an international week coming up. So I was surprised to see Danilo come off. But it is one of those that I can understand why Dundee were going, not gung-ho, but they were certainly going all out to try and get themselves into the game, try and find themselves a goal. And as you say, I hadn't really thought of that until you'd said that there, Stevie, about the week that we have had, where you've had 120 minutes and then, with all respect, a little bit of a chasing against Roma. So the legs will have been heavy, the legs would have been tired. So, maybe Danny Röhl is the Rangers head coach and I'm not, because he knows what he's doing, mate, and he's fully aware that what his players are, or where his players are at, I should say. So I've got to say, I agree with you in terms of the second half. I thought that for all that Dundee were trying their best, I thought that it was shots for 20, 25 yards that Jack Butland was having to save. Whereas when we were creating chances, their keeper was making some fine saves. Had another one from Asgard. I think it was Asgard close range. He had the one from Asgard.
The one from, what I was going to say is Asgard he saved from after 50 minutes down to his right-hand side. Then Gassama went through and cut back in, and it was kind of blocked into his arms. Raskin had a good header, which the goalie saved, which was terrific. And it started to switch, but there was a period between 60 and 75 where Dundee had some pressure. It was long-range shots from Hamilton. Danda had a free kick, which Butland saved. And the other one down to his left, which probably the clearest opportunity was from Simon Murray. But they weren't cutting us apart. They weren't hitting bylines. They were getting crosses in that went nowhere. They weren't overly stretching Rangers. And I just felt that Rangers were very comfortable. Given the week they've just had, I thought they played within themselves, or they were at least comfortable. We've not been in a league game for a long time, Amrit, where we can actually say that Rangers were in control and did look comfortable enough to do that. So I'll take that every day of the week. And of course, the cherry on top of the cake was Gassama's third goal, which was a beautiful finish.
It really was, Stevie. The second half wasn't as fluid. We've established that, and we can go on about the reasons for that. But I think from a professional aspect for Rangers to be 2-0 up and to manage the game the way that we did, if another team had played us like Roma, for instance, we said their man management in the second half was fantastic. The way they dealt with being 2-0 up. Now, we've done exactly the same at Dundee. We weren't setting the header alight. I get that. We weren't playing in the same fluidity that we were in the first half, but we were disciplined. We knew we had to get the job done. We were tight. We were compact. We made it difficult for them. And like you said, they never carved us open. They didn't create any clear-cut chances that you'd say, oh, listen, they're going to score here. It felt very, very comfortable all the time. And then Gassama's goal, really, it's great to see him get back on the score sheet, because I don't think he's scored since Pilsen at home. Maybe someone in the comments can confirm that, but it's a long time ago. Because he blasted onto the scene. He scored 2 at Panathinaikos, then he scored at Pilsen. I think was it Graz maybe he scored that? He scored at Graz away, didn't he? But either way, I think he's 4 or 5 goals this season. So he scored more than our strikers this season, which is part of the concern that I have, because Chermiti, Miovski and Danilo, whilst I think Danilo's been playing well, I think he's been unfortunate to be the man that sacrificed against Celtic. He was sacrificed again yesterday at half time. I feel that he deserves a run in the team. I think he's earned the right to get 90 minutes, but we don't know the reasoning why Danny Röhl did that, and I have faith in his decisions. He probably knows so much more than I do about their fitness, about their freshness, etc. But it was great to see Gassman get back on the score, but we need our strikers to start really firing now as well, Stevie, because we need goals from those 3.
Yeah, that's all totally fair. I think what I would put the subs down to is, and I was a bit inquisitive about it yesterday in a way of why has he done that. On reflection, 2 reasons. Asgard and Chermiti need to find form, and we need to try and get a return out of them. So I can understand game time for them, and the fact that we had a heavy week. So I'm willing to go with the boss's decision. We've just won 3-0. Clean sheets win things. I was going to say win leagues, but I'm not sure that we're in that kind of perform. I would rather stick it to just one game at a time. Diamandi maybe had a wee knock as well, which is understandable. A few people saying that in the comments, which is fair. So I can understand why he's mixed it up a wee bit. One thing I did want to bring up, Kenny, before we kind of move on from yesterday, is Mikey Moore. And I feel like he's somebody that's really benefited. This position on the right-hand side is not really where he's playing. It's almost like a false winger. Tav is pushing back up a wee bit to where he's comfortable. And Mikey Moore's coming in, and he's actually playing more as a 10. You've seen it for his goal. He was right up and running beyond Danilo, who kind of miscontrols or takes a touch, and then he runs in and finishes it really well. And it's a strange, I talked about this with Rob yesterday, you always think he would open up and go in his left and bend that way. He actually does the goalie a wee bit and goes that way with a really good finish. Should have probably had a third, but we'll leave that controversy for a discussion towards the end of the show, possibly. But Mikey Moore is one. When Danny Röhl came in, we had to try and get more out of our individual players. Mikey Moore, I can think he's starting to unlock him, which is really pleasing. Maybe if he can do the same with Oliver Antman and a couple of others, we might begin to start having more attacking impetus, which I need. But Mikey Moore's form has been a breath of fresh air. And I remember you getting quite a lot of pelters for saying that he was a young wonder kid and we're still to see it. And people slated you for it. What were you seeing, Kenny? Maybe we're just seeing a wee bit of glimpses. Not only yesterday, where he finally got on the scoreboard, but against Celtic, I thought he was really bright. Against Roma, he did okay. He's starting to perhaps get a wee bit more relaxed in a Rangers jersey, and he's starting to look like he's enjoying it.
He really is, and it's amazing when a head coach or a manager can come in and see the talent the boy's got and actually nurture it and bring it. Just let him go and do what he's good at, which is literally, as I say, he's a little bit of a free spirit, I think. I don't think you could turn around and say, because even with Spurs last season, I'd watched him, he was on the left, he was through the middle, he was on the right, and he naturally seemed better through the middle to me. Although I think, if I remember right, the games that he did play for Spurs, he tended to be on the left. Now, the issue I have is that, we're going to nurture this kid. We're going to play him plenty, I would imagine, and then he's going to go back down to Spurs and perhaps go on another loan elsewhere somewhere next season, and we are not going to see the fruits of our work, which is a kind of an issue we've had over the last few years with our loans, bringing in young loan players that are very, very good players. You look at Tillman, you look at Diallo, even Cherny, Abdallah, Sima, all these guys that you look at and you say, do you know what? We've actually made them better players for bringing them to our club and letting them experience the pressure of having to perform on a weekly basis. And as young kids, that's a cracking grounding. However, I'd much rather we did it with our own kids. Like Finlay Curtis is a prime example of for me, of one that should be getting more game time. He's our player, and I'd like to see more. But on Mikey Moore, I've got to say, I think since Danny Röhl's come in, he's been absolutely terrific. Is he going to make mistakes? Yes, he's an 18-year-old boy who is by no means the complete or finished article. He's nowhere near it. Still, a couple of times against Roma, he was dribbling far too long. When there's times when you really just need to even just pass it sideways and go and make a run, see if you can get it back. Whereas he's running into a cul-de-sac to a certain degree. But I'm quite excited about this kid, I've got to say. And as I say, the disappointment for me is that we're not going to see the best of him. But I think he's got a very, very bright future in the game. And well done to Danny Röhl for letting him have not a free role, but almost like a free role where he is turning and said to him, go and do what you're good at, go and play football. And the boys are trying as well, mate. And that's the one thing, up until before Danny Röhl had came in, I would say about him that he was working his arse off, wasn't he? Wasn't working for him when he wasn't getting much joy out of anything, but he was working his backside off. So I've got nothing but admiration for the young kid, and I hope he keeps it up for the rest of the season.
Amrit, Mikey Moore yesterday. Are you enjoying what you're seeing of him now?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of what Kenny was saying, I wholeheartedly agree with. We're beginning to see now, Stevie, the reason why this kid had the reputation he did. When he arrived, we were all wondering, like, how is this guy meant to be the next big thing at Tottenham? How is he a wonder kid? But recently, over the last couple of games, since Danny Röhl's got his hands on him, he's almost transformed. The way he carries the ball with such elegance. Once he starts going and starts getting moving, he's really, really difficult to stop. And like Kenny said, he's a trier. You could see how much that goal meant to him yesterday. He was genuinely, absolutely delighted. You could see it in every part of him, just the joy of scoring and then getting. He was on a hat trick at one point until the second one got chopped off. But I'm delighted for the kid. But we get back to the same argument that Kenny was saying. I don't want to repeat what he said, but the fact that we're not going to get the goodwill of this kid, it's going back to Tottenham, and I just don't want what happened to Bailey Rice to happen to Finlay Curtis. You look at Bailey Rice when he was at Motherwell with Lennon, one career's gone through the roof, the other one's gone through the floor. And the reason is because Bailey Rice isn't getting time to develop as a player, and he hasn't at Rangers, unfortunately, and he's not reached his potential that we all thought he had. Everyone believed he was the better player between him and Lennon, but because he hasn't played enough, he's never realised it. And I don't want that to happen to someone like Finlay Curtis. Finlay Curtis has scored more goals than any of our strikers this season. That's a fact, with a fraction of the game time. That lad, we need to get him on the park and we need to develop him. Otherwise, we're going to lose a really special Scottish talent. So whilst I'm delighted for Mikey Moore, I think he's done fantastic and I think he's a great addition and asset to the team. I would like to see some of these other guys get a chance as well.
Yeah, there should be more game time for Finlay Curtis. I think we know that, and I think we all kind of appreciate that. But I disagree on Bailey Rice. Sorry to say, I've seen quite a bit of Bailey Rice in the youth team, and I don't think that he himself has lived up to the hype that he has got. I don't think he's perhaps had the injury-free run that's allowed him to come into the first team as well. So I've been slightly disappointed in Bailey Rice himself. I'm not the first one to say that. I think this went back to Michael Beale, and then Barry Ferguson talked about him when they said he should be a lot further ahead in his development than he is. So I think Bailey Rice maybe needs to look at his performances and his kind of his training and things like that as well before we start saying it's purely down to games, because I've seen a lot of Bailey Rice and he's not living up to the hype that perhaps is afforded to him. So that's only my own opinion. I think Bailey's a cracking young lad, by the way, and he's more than time, but time can slip away from you very quickly. So he's one that needs to perform. He's going out of contract at the end of the season. I would honestly be surprised if Rangers retain him. So it's interesting to see what happens there. And I understand what you're saying, Amrit, with regards to game time and getting him in. but I wouldn't be right to just play him on his reputation. I would be, you've got to earn it for me a wee bit. And there's others in that team, Paul and Seal and things like that. I've shown a lot more when I've watched that team than he has. So perhaps a different conversation to have, Kenny. But Danny Röhl, you certainly get the fans on side. Amrit's a huge fan. We've already heard that song. And it's good to see. It's a complete sea change, isn't it? Amrit, I'm going to bring you in on this as well. But when we went from Russell Martin, Kenny, Amrit, where it was just from word go, we just didn't want this guy. Everybody could tell. It's almost like a breath of fresh air. I'm not sure many wanted Danny Röhl, to be quite honest with you, but they've adopted him. They've taken him in. The question is, was it? We've had this kind of Röhl wave at the end, and Amrit, how you were there? How did that go down? And Kenny, what's your kind of overall thoughts on it? I've got my own opinion on it, but I'm keen to throw it out there and see what the viewers think, and also what you guys thought of it.
I think for me personally, I think you can see that he's making a real conscious effort to connect with the fans, to try and understand the Rangers fans, to get to grips with the culture, the personality of Rangers Football Club, to understand Scottish football, and that comes from the Rangers fans. So you can see a real willingness there to want to do well, to want to create a connection and a bond with the fans. The way he came over to us at Bran, and then last night, okay, people are probably saying he's getting a bit ahead of himself, doing the whole in front of the fans and all the rest of it. But listen, the guy's just won 3 in the league. We've won 3-0. We've got a clean sheet. It wasn't an easy place to go to. So I think he's entitled to his 5 minutes. And I think it's a nice kindness that he's extended to the fans, because it makes the fans feel part of it. It's not just, okay, 3 points and up the road. You can stay behind and have a bit of a connection, a bit of a guys with the manager, which I think is nice. I think he's got this quiet confidence about himself. He doesn't talk too much. I think Russell Martin was very airy-fairy. You thought he was on Diary of a CEO sometimes when he was talking. It was all just words and meaningless buzzwords. But with Danny, it seems to be more direct. It seems to be very concise. And I like that about him. He's got that confidence. And yes, it's small steps. It's one game at a time. I get all of that. But he said when we came in that he would get us winning. He'd get us organised. He'd get us disciplined. He said it might not look great to start with, but we're going to start picking up points. And that's exactly what he's delivered on. So he's fulfilled his promises thus far. So until he gives us a reason not to support him, then we just keep on doing it. And I'm loving my my one-way ticket on the Röhl train right now, to be fair.
He's got something in his favour, guys, that he isn't Russell Martin for a start. So he's starting from a position of strength right there. However, what I would say about him is that, we're very good at playing head coach bingo in this support at the minute. So don't count your chickens too much, Danny. But at the same time, he has done everything right. Now, I listened to him yesterday, and he was talking about going on a wee break where he's in the office for 3 days, and then he's going to go and see his kids over in Germany because they're still over there for a couple of days, which is nice because he'll be missing his kids. But the thing about the really important thing he said to me was that he's been spending a lot of time trying to get to know the club, trying to understand the club. He's been very impressed with the coaches in it, the staff there, the support, everything about the club. He said he's been really impressed by. He's really appreciating the support that he's getting from everybody. And for me, it's one of those things that if you can get a young man like that. Now, I seen him for the first. I met him for the first time last week with you, Stevie, and I was surprised because of the beard and stuff like that. It really surprised me how young he looked. He does look like a young man, and for a guy like my age, when you see the Rangers manager's 20 years younger, and you're like, Jesus, man, this is making me feel grim. But it is one of those things that you kind of, me personally, I'm talking about it. I'm actually really wanting him to do well because was he my first choice in the summer? Absolutely not. Was he my first choice last month? No, I've got to be honest, he wasn't. However, since the minute he's came in the door, he really, really impressed me. And Amrit, you said it yourself. You were over in Bran, weren't you? Or Bergen, and you actually had said, you know, about that him coming over, and that was a touch of class to come over and actually appreciate these guys are coming over here. It's an 8-mile trip from the airport, and it's £100 for a taxi and stuff like this. You know, you know yourself the cost in Norway, and for him to appreciate them and go over and say, "Look, I'm sorry," and admit effectively that he thought turning up with the same kind of system and just, you know, giving them a different instruction was going to make a difference. And I think he quickly realised, oh, this is worse than I thought it was, and he reverted straight to the 3. And I'm really impressed by that he's proven himself to be flexible and an amiable and likeable guy. So bring it on.
Okay, so just my own feelings on yesterday. Not for me, right? I would rather we kept that sort of thing until we were winning things, until we're up and about it and we're fighting for shiny things. However, let's caveat it, our favourite word. It's completely a cultural thing with German style, European style coaches, and I've on that point, I've not really got an issue with it. So I've kind of just contradicted myself there. But from a Rangers fan's point of view, from an old grumpy guy's point of view, like I'd rather we started doing these things when we were winning stuff. But I understand why he's doing it. That's my overall point. Understand he's got to try and forge a relationship with the fans. He's got to try and maybe he feels like he needs to earn that trust. But what I would say about Danny Röhl is, and Kenny can jump in here as well, because we've met him now a couple of times. Danny Röhl, every time he comes into a press conference, comes up and shakes your hand and asks how you are, and you know is very gentlemanly. Outside of the, Kenny will tell you this as well. Outside of the press room last week, he asked me if it was okay, and I was just like, I'm just really down. Been coming here for 30 years, and it just felt like there was nothing about us tonight. And I was talking about the Roma game. And he just looked at me and he didn't say anything. He just gave me a hug. I must have looked quite pathetically forlorn, Kenny. But he's just, I find him to be quite a nice guy. He's very personable. He's very, like, I think he cares a lot about the football club. There's no arrogance there. There's nothing there that would give you that impression. I think he really wants to do well. And that's the impression I get off him, just as a really nice guy. And I wasn't a Danny Röhl supporter coming in the building, but I'm becoming a Danny Röhl supporter now. And then I understand why he's doing things like that yesterday, because he's trying to build bridges. He's trying to get people on board. And that's what I'm trying to say. I understand what he's doing, Kenny, and understand why he's doing it. And I can't help but like him. And I don't want to, because I want to be like, nah, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn it. And you've got to show me that you're good enough and everything else. And one victory at Dens, and I'm like, oh, this guy, you know, I really quite like him. I want him to do well. And I'm trying to keep that borderline of kind of stability in how I come across. But he's a likeable guy, and I want him to do well for Rangers.
Wee quick story about the hug that you got the other night, which was very funny, because you called him away when we had all left the press room, and we were in the mix zone, and he was standing there kind of waiting, wasn't he? And you called him over, so he'd come over, and that wee whisper and what you said, you know, and he just looked at me, and I went, and he was going to say something, wasn't he? I don't know what he was going to say, but he just
probably
greeting, mate.
That's what he was going to say.
Aye, you broke my heart last Thursday, mate. I've never seen you that disappointed in Rangers. 15 minutes in, I think I want to go home. 45 minutes, head in hands, and then at the end of the game with that, and I get a hug off the manager, mate. You know, Rangers do bad things to you, but we do bad things to us all. But that's why we're there. That's why we love it. But he's just one of those guys, mate, that, as I said, I think likeable and amiable was the words I used before, and there is something kind of endearing about him when you meet him. He's got a real touch of class about him, and as you say, he really does want to do well, but not just for himself. You can tell he wants to drag this club by the bootlaces and up where it's supposed to be, and he's grasped that really quickly, and that's what I like about him, that he's realised this club is a million miles from where it should be and it should always be. And is he the man to do it? I certainly hope so. Time will tell, obviously, but I genuinely mean this about him, that it brought a tear to an old man's eye when I seen you getting that hug, mate. It really did.
I did take the Roma game kind of hard. I thought it was quite pathetic, to be quite honest. I was genuinely a wee bit. I just felt like it was so flat. But hey, well, we don't need to go back into that. Moving on, Rangers were today linked with a move for David Harrison, ex-Man United and Everton, as Director of Football Operations. You will have seen it in our earlier headline. We were going to discuss this. I'm reliably informed that story has since been deleted and taken down, and it is complete nonsense. Not true in the slightest, and not something that has got any aspirations of happening. So I don't think there's much point in talking about that. We will leave it parked there. Just to clarify, folks, as I said, completely untrue, and as I said, not worth talking about. It would have been a discussion for us to have, but it's kind of, I think we're fine just to park it and leave it there. Having clarified it, I think that's best to do. We'll move on though. Kenny, key match instant review panel. One decision went for Rangers this season, 3 against already. Rangers have asked for another meeting with SFA. The KMI panel decided Austin Trusty should have been sent off in the last week's Premier Cup semi-final. I can only assume that they all had eyes that work, like the rest of us that said it should have been a red card. I'm glad the club are acting on it. Are they on a bit of a hiding to nothing? Yes. If they didn't act on it, would I have moaned? Yes. Am I moaning that they're asking for another meeting? Probably. What are they supposed to do about it? I'm not quite sure. We've got to do something. How many meetings do we need to have before we point out that things are statistically not well? Rangers get a card every 5.2 fouls in the league. It's the 4th quickest in the league. Statistically, we're on quite the harsh end of refereeing mistakes. We were the most mistakes against us last year in VAR, with 5 in total, higher than anybody else. This year we've already 3 against. I'm not sure what the decision was that went for us. I have something in my head says Motherwell in the first game of the season, but I can't remember that, so please feel free to let me know. But what do you make of the whole asking for a meeting, the whole kind of KMI review panel and things like that? Kenny, where are you on it? It's a bit, I kind of find it all a bit tedious. Is that the right word, way of explaining it? We're all just a bit annoyed with it by now.
The panel itself voted 2-1 on the Trusty one. It wasn't unanimous, which I find mind-boggling, but that's the case apparently. On the situation where we're asking for a meeting, I don't know what else you can do, in terms of making it public that you want to speak to them, apart from just informing Sky or whoever it is, your media man up there, Nick, and saying, look, let it out that we're wanting a meeting. That's fine. But I'm a little bit like you. I don't really know what the purpose of the meeting is going to be, what the outcome is going to be, what it is they're looking for. I actually just think now, I said it last week when you asked me, and I feel probably even stronger now that what we have to do is target, when I say target, I don't mean, be vitriolic about it. What I mean is that I think that's fair. We have to concentrate on the referees themselves and who's in charge of them, and say that if anything, the standards have went down since Willie Collins came in than it was prior, when the guy's name escapes me, Crawford Allen, wasn't it? It was before. The standards are worse now, and some of the refereeing decisions now, I'll hark back to 2 separate incidents, both with St Mirren. So forget us for a moment and actually understand that the standard is so bad. St Mirren's goal against Hearts last midweek. Now, Hearts are top of the table, they're flying, and how many decisions are Hearts getting at this minute in time is nuts. But the decision to rule out, I think it was a Mark O'Hara goal last week's appalling. It's an absolutely ridiculous decision. And then there was the incident in the League Cup's semi-final last Saturday night where they score a fourth goal and VAR decide after about 3 minutes, well, there's no foul, there's no nothing, but they want the referee to go over to the monitor to check to see if there is a foul. And if I remember right, it was Don Robertson, but he just took a look at it, watched it quite a lot, and then just turned and went, no, it's a goal. Because what happened was that the two guys bumped into each other, basically. Not even a challenge, just a bit of body contact. And VAR are turning around and telling the referee to go and have a look at that. And that's what we're dealing with. It's just not fit for purpose. It's not just us that are suffering here. I work in Paisley, and the St Mirren fans are going bonkers because they've had so many go against them. So that's what we have to do, is try and get clubs on board, mate. And if we're going to take a stand on this, then we have to lead with it. And I think if you're going to lead it, then you have to be very, very vocal, and you be very, very public about it. And that's all I think we can do, is to take a lead and turn around and say, we're going to drag other clubs with us then, and be out front and centre in the media talking about it constantly. And only then will they actually feel the pressure, because every single week these things are happening and the same guys are refereeing or on VAR the week after. So there's no, what's the word? There's no
punishment. There's no, they're not held to account. Yeah.
There's no accountability. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Stevie. But there isn't. There's no accountability at all for the sheer volume of mistakes that they're making. So that's what I would like to see Rangers do. If they're going to make it public that they want a meeting, start being very, very vocal about it, and use the media to be vocal about it.
Just on that point, Kenny, make about Hearts. Hearts have had 3 errors in their favour this season, just the one against. Celtic not had any errors against, but 2 for. Falkirk 3 errors in their favour, none against. Hibs 1-1. St Mirren errors in favour 1, errors against 1. So it's all a bit up in the air. Amrit, Rangers at the centre of things again. I've got to credit the club for fighting their corner. Do I believe much will come from it? I'm not sure. But they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, because I will moan if they don't do anything. And then there's part of me that feels like it's not quite enough. But what levels do I honestly expect them to go to? I'm not too sure. So I will give them credit for at least fighting their corner. Where do you see all this?
Yeah, Kenny, listen, we were all up in arms. We said the time for the dignified response is gone now. We need action. We need people that are going to make some noise and hold people to account. And we've got that now to some degree. But like you said, what can they actually do? Are they fighting a battle that it's impossible for them to win? This is the thing, only time will tell. And we're having another meeting, and you don't want it to get to the stage where it's meetings for the sake of meetings and nothing changes, because these meetings mean nothing unless we have actual change in our game, and it needs it from the top to the bottom. The whole thing. VAR's a fantastic system. Let's make no bones about it. VAR, as a piece of technology, is an incredible feat. Absolutely. But it's not being used correctly, and we're not feeling the impact of the benefit because it's operated by people who don't know what they're doing. I think as a club, we just need to continue trying to make our voice heard. I think what Kenny said about a united effort is absolutely the right stance to take. I think if we can get other clubs on board, it's not just us that are feeling the pinch, I think, with VAR and some of the decisions. You've read out there that there are other clubs as well. So I think we really need to get a lot of people on board and go to them en masse, really, and continually make noise, because they won't listen to us unless we keep trying to make noise, and it's all we can really do. But like you said, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. I don't think this is a winnable situation for Rangers at the moment, if I'm honest.
No, most likely it's not, but I'd like to see the club continue with a course of action, that's for sure. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll leave it there. Thoroughly enjoyable Rangers performance yesterday. Was it perfect for 90 minutes? No, absolutely not. Is it a damn sight better than what it has been? Absolutely, yes. I'll take a 3-0 victory any day of the week. And by the way, it's not often you go to Dundee and win 3-0. I remember Steven Gerrard's team going up there and it was 1-0 and Rebo scored and I was at the game. And I think John McLaughlin saved a penalty and it was all sorts going on that way. We won 4-3 last year. We've drawn plenty of times up there. I seem to have been up in a few trips and we've drawn up there under Clement and things like that as well. So, yeah, it's never easy, but Rangers made it easy yesterday with thoroughly enjoyable and good performance. Amrit, let's end with talking to you just for a second. You have become a sponsor of Four Lads, which we're really delighted with. Something that we wanted to separate between you becoming a podcaster and a sponsor, because we believe that you're a very good podcaster and bring lots of enthusiasm to the show. But you became a sponsor as well with Candid, who you can all see is now on our advertising. Tell us a wee bit more about Candid, because lots of people asking where the shops are and stuff. And is it true it's an extra scoop if you come in and say we watch Four Lads?
Well, no, it's an extra scoop if they come in and say, he's got us playing electric.
I do that for an extra scoop of ice cream, to be honest.
You're a grumpy old man, Stevie. You admitted that yourself. You would never sing that. We could win 6-0 and you still wouldn't be happy.
Well, if you keep winning 6-0, you might see me smile once in a while. But
so, Stevie, yeah, our stores are in Rumford, Denny, Stennismuir and Grangemouth. It's a business that I started about 8 years ago. We make our own gelato and desserts fresh every single day in store, pick and mix, ice blast, all that kind of stuff. I make all the ice cream myself and it's a labour of love, and I absolutely love my job and I love my business and I love making people happy with sugar. But yeah, I would encourage people, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok or Facebook, and please come along and visit us anytime you like. And yeah, it'd be great to see some of our members there as well.
So there you go, folks. What a pleasure it was to be back on with everybody. Much appreciated. What does this week hold? Kenny and I will be back on Wednesday night with Chris for our midweek shows. We discuss all the latest Rangers news. On Friday, Andrew hosts with a couple of the lads. I think Calvin is on, as well as I think possibly Rob as a host on Friday, as myself, Kenny, Cheryl and young Andy are down in Blackpool playing the Gallant Pioneer for our live show. We really can't wait. Great to be invited down by Blackpool by the Gallant Pioneer. We can't wait to see everyone down there for International Weekend. They have a live event on the Saturday night with a lot of ex-players attending. So we are really delighted to be going down and playing on the Friday night. So we are looking forward to that. We'll also be back with a members show as well this week. We're going to do a members kind of hour just chatting to the members. No, we don't go on with an agenda. We let the members decide that just with their comments and things again. So look out for that. We'll put it up and let you know when it is. It'll be a members only event. If you want to join the members only event, you can see that thing up there. I even done it with the right hand. You can just scan that in and become a member. I think there's 700 strong for as little as 99p a month. What does it get you? It gets you ad-free shows whenever you want to watch. It gets you some extra content when we put it out, and it supports the show. That's basically the extent of it. It helps us do what we do. Also on Friday night, Scott Patterson will be at Ibrox to report on Rangers versus Celtic women as well. So we will have full coverage of that. So action-packed over the next couple of days. Sunday show is back on Sunday night as well with Scotty, Cheryl and all the gang also. So plenty to keep you entertained. We hope that we do a good job on here. If you haven't, please like and subscribe on YouTube. That really helps us grow fast, going into 12,000 subs. So we really, really appreciate that. Everybody that subs, it's free. It really helps us. So thank you. And before we go, thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Cliveview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and Candid, as we spoke about with our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Big thanks to Amrit and Kenny and everyone that's joined. Thousands watch this show every time. It still blows my mind. And we really appreciate it. So until Wednesday, have a great couple of days, folks. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.